What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're doing well today. Got a review for you, and it's a fixie. Let's jump into it. Okay. Before you leave, hear me out. We do have a budget fixie here that I'm actually pretty excited about, and I've really enjoyed checking it out. So bear with me as we go through this one because I know not everyone on the channel is into pocket fixies. We're checking a look at the Vosteed Mink XL. Really cool spin on the mink. So the original mink's a little bit smaller, not awful, not a huge size difference anyway, especially when you look at the handles. The handle's a little bit longer, but the blade is definitely longer. I think there's still some adhesive on here from where I've been cutting with this one. And they went reverse tanto here. I think they're actually listing it as sheep's foot on their blade because it does have some belly. It's not perfectly flat. I don't have something here. Yes, I do to demonstrate that. So tabletop, you can see it is definitely got some belly to it. We don't need to do a spine wag test, do we? Maybe we test to see if you can baton with it. Just cut right into the table. We got micarta here on the handles. It is a hardened micarta that is fragged, so very grippy and very comfortable to hold. I did a little bit of cutting. I recorded a little bit of cutting to demonstrate this to you all, and it performed really well. So factory edge came very slicey. It is Nitro V, which like 14C28N, it's not going to hold a fine edge, but you do have what I would call a strong geometry on here, right? It's tall, flat grind, so it does feel slicey going through the materials, so there's not a lot of resistance. And it's not a super thick blade stock at all, but it's not as, it's not so thin where I don't think you can't really push this to use it to cut stuff and have to worry about it not holding up. Now, depending on your application, I ran it through some cardboard at the end, typical. You can see the imperfections on the fine edge, but it definitely felt like it could have continued to be used to cut through some of those denser materials. Opening packages, getting into Amazon boxes, breaking them down. This is going to do well at all of those. I also feel like if you carry this and you do a lot of food prep, you cut your tomatoes, your apples, you're cutting up fruit and vegetables, this is going to be awesome at that. If that's what you do with your EDC, you're in the kitchen regularly, maybe you overland and or camp and you got like an outdoor table that you're doing your food prep on, this is going to be fantastic for that, guys. I really do like and am appreciating that, especially as I consider getting into a little bit more of like overnight camps and overnight overlands. I don't think I'd ever do like a full week or weekend of it, but I am, my interest is growing in there as I do more research. So something like this is going to be really handy, but it's still a really good EDC to be sure. And I think this is nice because you do have an application where you can make some scales yourself, if you're getting into that, or if you wanted, I think someone that can make scales would very easily be able to make scales for you to customize this. But, under $100 for a fixie with Nitro V, I think this is going to be an excellent hard use knife. One other knife that I carry a ton that I love for EDC and I think is an even better size is going to be the Asher Knives little buddy, but I think this one's just over 100, whereas the Mink is a little bit under. But I do like the fact that the little buddy comes in S90V, which is great edge retention for a EDC fixie for me. I think that's a little bit more important because of the type of cutting tasks that I do on the day-to-day, whereas Nitro V's fine edge won't hold up, but it'll cut for a long time for the stuff that I'm using it for. In that regard, it's not going to compete. No, it's not going to even be close. It's not a competition between the two steels. But Asher also offers 3V, which is going to be even tougher. So if you wanted to have this flex into some more hard use applications, I think this is going to work really well. What I will say is that the little buddy has a thicker geometry. So I think that combats a little bit of the toughness because you got that thicker piece of steel. It's going to do a little bit better, whereas this feels a little bit more slicey, a little bit thinner in the hand. And then, if you look specifically at the ergonomic footprint, the Mink XL's got a little bit more space, but truth be told, I get 4 fingers on the little buddy comfortably. I actually have a little bit of space left over when you compare the two as far as how they hold in the hands and how comfortable they are position wise. You got a little bit more height, I think, also on the mink. Just a little bit, yeah, just a little bit overall. I'm trying to line them up with the thumb where it stops. I would say they're pretty close. It's just a different feel. I think this curves up into the hand a little bit more. This one's a little less curved and then has that big finger choil. So this feels thinner because of that. And then this feels thicker because there are contoured scales versus just flat scales on there. I do want to take a look under here. It doesn't feel like it weighs a lot. So we just used the Asher for size comparison. Let's do just a quick couple of folders. And when we're done with this, we'll check the weight on them. So I wanted you to get a sense of how big it is from end to end. And you can see very comparable to like a Mannix 2. I think it's also going to be just a little bit shorter actually overall than the Mannix 2. Now granted, folded up, these are going to carry with less space, but I will say the Mink, again, being really thin and having a thin sheath, even though it is sandwich construction instead of fold over, it's still really thin. And then I just put a pocket clip on there which has a retention point. I don't know if you can see the little retention hook. I'm trying to put my finger under there to help you see that, but it has like a little retention clip, like a retention foot, to keep it from coming out. So when you go to pull, I almost put that in there upside down. When you go to pull, the retention part here on that pocket clip, along with pushing, keeps it from wanting to follow the knife out of the pocket, I should say. But let's do scale real quick. I said let's do scale. I meant let's do the weight real quick. All right, without the sheath, coming in at 3.7 for the knife itself. Now with the sheath and the steel pocket clip and screws all together, we go from 3.7 to 5.6. So not awful addition by that as well. Let's move the scale out of the way and then let's take the scales off. I want to see underneath. I believe these are all T8. Let's take a quick peek. Yeah, T8. Oh, it's coming out of the other side. I just want to take a peek in here and see if it's hollowed or if it's just a full steel construction. I'm going to set this down, guys, so I don't lose the other end. All right, so those are steel because they are sticking to the magnet. So very easy to remove these, and yep, so slight hollow or slight weight reduction going on here, but really not that much, not enough to where I would feel like it compromises the strength of this. Let me throw these back on. Oh, look at that. They're D-shaped. Very nice. Very nice, Vosteed. All right, so we got the scale back on. So hollowed out just in between here. I think that's cool. It helps reduce the weight a little bit of it. All right, let's jump into the score. Everything that goes into the score, again, materials offered at the price point, ergos, performance, and just overall feels with the knife and how I feel about it. So I really love this one for an EDC. I think some people are going to say it's a little too big. In that instance, if you're okay with the clip point variant, I would go with the regular Mink. It is definitely more in line with the size of the little buddy, or check out the little buddy. Honestly, they're out of stock at the time I'm recording this, but I imagine as well as they had sold, especially when they brought the 3V ones out, those went like hotcakes. That is a great size. I definitely would say these are more affordable for you to check. The Minks, the Smalt, and then the little buddy are going to be affordable options that are well made with good steel for you to test out to see if you like it. I really like carrying them on the weekends. I can't do it during the workday because I go into an office. They're not really going to work for me there, but I could also easily say I can throw these into a pocket in a backpack as well. But it's very comfortable to use. It's been a lot of fun to check them out, and I'm definitely carrying them more often. what I would say what would help is kind of what you see Kaiser doing, right? Kaiser's doing some different materials for the handle, and they're doing inlays on top of the scales as well. And I think that makes it a little bit more interesting. You can kind of load it out with some of your other gear and make it a little bit more customizable. Having said that, I don't think it's tough for these scales to be made. I'm actually going to test that theory and reach out to a scale maker that I know to see if he'd be willing to do some, because I don't want to lose the contouring on the little buddy, and I don't want to lose the pattern on either one. So I'm going to have some conversation with them just to see if they'd be willing to try to make some scales for me. I think it might be a little bit of a challenge with the way these are pocketed, maybe not, I don't know. But if that, if that can be done affordably, I think that might be something people may be willing to check out too, because if you're going with exotic materials, it's probably going to cost as much or possibly more than the knife on some of these budget models cost to begin with. All right, the score on this one, it is a budget knife. Budget knives are limited at a 7 just because of the materials involved. And if this would have been S90V, like the Asher, it could have gone over. But fixed blades are tough as well. So, I still think Nitro V 14C28N are going to be a budget steel. I think 3V and S90V are going to still be exotic steels. It is what it is. The other thing that I'm going to take into an account as well is it's going to be the sandwich construction instead of the fold over Kydex sheath, which I think would have been a little bit cooler for this one, just because there's less to fail and fall apart on this, and it's less likely over time to come apart if it's just this side that's being pushed down as opposed to you trying to sandwich this together. Having said that, this is really, really well done. I mean, I'm seeing no seams whatsoever, and it is by comparison relatively thin. I mean, it is really close. So the fold over, I think, is a little bit thinner. Hopefully my finger kind of helping you see what I mean there when you talk about that, especially considering this knife is overall thinner. Let's see, where am I at with this one? I'm going to go 6.7. I know that's really high, and I'm reluctant to give a high score since I'm just getting into pocket fixies. I've had 2 minks, I've had the little buddy, and I've had the smalt. But I really like this one. I think the blade shape, the handle, the additional length, and definitely the price point, and I think the fact that Nitro V can continue to cut even after it's gotten a little bit of wear on the blade's edge. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be slicing through stuff, but for stuff that you probably would do with the fixed blade, you're going to push a little bit harder, you're going to use it a little bit harder. I really think this is an interesting combination. I'd love to see them maybe dabble in some S35 VN. I think that could be an interesting fixed blade steel, possibly, because it is very tough. But obviously I'd love to see 3V. I think that would be really cool, but with 3V you got to worry about corrosion. I think with S35 VN you don't. I think that could be an interesting steel for a pocket EDC. You know what I'm saying? It's not like something you're going to go out there truly leave in a backpack to go camping with and hard use or anything like that. Great retention. I don't know that I mentioned that too much. Not a lot of rattling. Doesn't feel loose like it wants to play. No movement going back and forth. Very, very good retention. I mean, it locks in really well, guys. So definitely worth checking out. I feel like if you're thinking about it, you've been contemplating it, or you're into them and you just want one, again, a budget one that you can kind of beat on, that you don't have to worry about too much. These minks, little buddies, the smalts, deckhand, I think I forgot to mention the deckhand's a good one. That one's going to be more hard use. That one has a little bit more robust of handle and blade. Really very, very good options. Let me know what you think about the mink in the comments down below. I think it's a good looking fixed blade as well. Thanks for hanging out to this point. If you enjoyed, like for sure helps. Using those links really helps too. No pressure. I'm just saying, if you're thinking about buying something from Vosteed or somewhere else, check the links down below. I may have one, and when you shop there using those links, it helps the channel. So thanks to everyone. You guys do an awesome job using those links for me, and it lets me show these manufacturers, like, hey, I'm drumming up some business, let's keep sending the knives in so we can, you know, see them and potentially put them into future giveaways. This one here, this one's staying with me. I really like this one. It also was not donated to the channel. I paid for this full price out of pocket, so just letting you know. But when they do send other things in, I usually put them into a different knife case for future giveaways, to kind of give back as a way to say thank you, because I get to get the review and you guys get to potentially win one for free. So, you know, win-win in some cases. Anyway, I don't know why I went off on that tangent. Special thanks to my channel members out there, guys. I love you. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'm out of here. Catch you on the next one. Peace.